Hurts has come in for the first time.
For Aaron Rodgers, his 400th career touchdown pass, 77 yards for the dagger, Aaron Jones.
Gesicki touchdown! Touchdown!
And Mayfield is dropping dimes.
Trubisky hit. The ball is free. The Lions say they've got it. Peterson left side. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
It's caught. Picked up by the Patriots. Touchdown, Patriots. Stanley Kodoszewski under it at the number 30. Beats another man. Tight over the sideline. Into the end zone.
Colts get an absolute gift, and they'll take it. Holy my.
Intercepted. Harry the Pigman. Bailey. The Vikings win.
A pick six for Troy Hill.
Late throw comes near side. Kelsey at the 5, angling left. Touchdown!
The first passing touchdown for Taysom Hill.
Pass deflected and intercepted by the Giants.
Vegas touchdown. Vegas touchdown. Jackpot. And away.
Wow.
Welcome to Game Day View presented by Mercedes-Benz. I am Andrew Hawkins, joined as always by the best team in all the land, Cynthia Freeland, Greg Rosenthal. How you guys doing this morning?
Feeling good. This is like the day where we both wear hoodies and Cynthia's all dolled up, so it's great.
Exactly.
I just like to get up really early and put on a ton of makeup. That's what I do every morning.
Hey, I love it. It's like driving your best Sunday car. Cynthia wears her Sundays best. All right, we're going to start off taking a look at the NFL playoff picture, starting with the AFC. What are we seeing here, Greg? What's standing out to you about this?
Well, if the Dolphins can make it, because they're 8-4, and you look at the Ravens at 7-5, maybe even the Raiders too, and you see the Dolphins schedule, and you don't see a lot of wins on it. Can they pull it off? If so, Brian Flores is Coach of the Year.
Brian Flores might be Coach of the Year either way.
All right, here we got the NFC for Cynthia. Talk to us what you're seeing here.
I think it's funny that they put the Lions on there. That's really comical for me. But the interesting part is that the Arizona Cardinals are going to make it per my math. I think they swap out with the Minnesota Vikings just based on schedule, and I think that's a nice preview for what I believe that they will do today.
Ooh. Love it, love it, love it. All right, we're starting off this show with the Vikings at the Bucs. The Bucs are favored in this one by 7. We're going right to picks here. I am going with the Bucs, but I have to be honest. I am on the lookout for the Vikings. The Bucs have been up and down, and if I'm being, again, completely honest, I don't feel extremely great about them. I feel good about them in this game, but there's always a chance that the Vikings shock because, again, they are also one of those spotty teams. Justin Jefferson is a guy that I'm a huge fan of, so I'm watching to see what he does against this Bucs secondary. Cynthia, what do you got for me?
I have a 6-point win for the Bucs, 28-22 in this one. I love Justin Jefferson, and I'm not picking against him whatsoever. I just think Todd Bowles, that defense coming off this bye, getting healthier in the middle of their defense is going to be a huge difference maker. Stopping the run, that's going to be key because that guy Dalvin Cook is by far the best player on this offense, the most important. I love Justin Jefferson, don't get me wrong, but they rely on Dalvin Cook a lot more. So you slow Dalvin Cook down, you put Kirk Cousins in higher pressure situations, and I don't know if we see Kid Cuzzy or if we see Kid Not So Cuzzy. What do you have, Greg?
Ooh, I mean, you're speaking my language here. You stop Dalvin Cook early, you put Kirk Cousins in those 3rd and longs, and then the pass rush comes after Cousins. I do not like the offensive line play that I've seen in Minnesota the last few weeks while they're just getting by against these bad teams. Now they're playing a good team. It was a good week for Kid Cudi, released an album. I think it's going to be a bad week for Kid Cuzzy. If he had an album, it'd be like the sad $33 million man. That's my title for it. Cynthia,
there's only room for one kid in this week. Only room for one kid in this week.
That's right. Let's do it.
Oh, you know what time it is? I just almost missed my own proper performances. Just like we talked about, Dalvin Cook, he's going to have fewer than 78 rushing yards at the Bucs. Why? I told you, Todd Bowles, he's not going to let Dalvin Cook do this. The O-line, just like Greg said, also reinforces that point. Next, Tom Brady. He's going to have fewer than 290 passing yards. I'm not saying he's not going to have a good game. I'm just saying it's not going to be one of those 320, 350-yard passing days. I think Tom Brady gets it going. They have a nice probable connection with maybe Antonio Brown for one of the touchdowns, and then ultimately run it out. So use the run game to solidify the win. Okay, what do we have next?
Let's go to the NFC East. Little Cardinals and Giants. I'm excited about this game. It has playoff implications. The Cardinals are favored on the road. I don't like that at all. I love this Giants defense right now, especially against Kyler Murray and these short passes for the Cardinals. They have no mid-range game. It's all 2-yard throws, and the defenses are on it. They're not falling for these wide receiver screens. Kyler Murray has fewer yards per attempt by far than any quarterback in the league on run-pass option plays. So they're asking the Cardinals to run. The run game's fine, but you need a passing game to win in the NFL. I love this Giants defense. If they don't get in as a division champ, maybe they get in as a wild card. Cynthia, what do you think?
I mean, anything's possible. It's still 2020. I have a 3-point win for the Cardinals. I want you to all circle your calendars for like 25 minutes from now to see if Blake Martinez is playing, because that defense is going to be totally different for the Giants if he's not playing. Now, I want to talk about my guy, our guy, the whole pod, well, it's not a pod, it's a show. It's all about Budda Baker. We love Budda Baker. The ability he has to change the dynamic in the middle of the field is absolutely awesome. He doesn't get enough shine, except for, of course, on our show, where we talk about him every show. It's going to be interesting because that Giants O-line has allowed their quarterback to be under pressure more than any other quarterback in the NFL. So it's going to be interesting to see all the different ways that the Cardinals use pressure. And you know what? Budda Baker could just be the key to unlocking it for the Cardinals and bringing them back to the playoffs.
I love it. I'm with you, Cynthia. I'm going with the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray has a bounce-back game, and I've said that a couple weeks now, so hopefully he doesn't make me look dumb again. But I will say this about the Giants. You talked about the way this Giants team is playing. Joe Judge has them playing well beyond what their roster and their talent suggests. So this is one of the closest coaches of the year battles we've seen in a while. It's going to come down to the wire here, and Joe Judge is absolutely deserving of being in that category. All right, next up we have the Chiefs at the Dolphins. The Chiefs are favored in this one by 7. I'm going with the Chiefs, but I do have them on upset alert. Similarly, for why I just talked about the Giants coach, Flores has his team the same kind of motivated, and they are a team that, again, he gets the max out of them. And the way of defense, you have a coach on the field ready to fight. Cynthia, you went to college with him. I'm sure you can give us even better stories than what we've seen, but I feel like the Dolphins players are giving him their very best.
Let me tell you, when you have Beeflo on your side, you get some extra beer muscles. I mean, what? Nobody said that. Anyways, I have the Dolphins keeping this one close. I have only a 6-point win, 28-22. Why? Because of the play of their corners. They invested in the position in the offseason with bringing Byron Jones in from the Cowboys. This has paid off for them. They get Xavier Howard back. He was injured. Remember, there was some things last year where he wasn't playing. But ultimately, what they're doing is forcing opposing quarterbacks to think about it. That's a really hard thing. It also keeps it a potential for more pressure, because if you have to think about it, hold on to it. You don't have your first read there, you can get more pressure on the quarterback, more mistakes are likely to happen. And that's part of why this defense is really coming together. And obviously, Brian Flores, defensive guy, that's part of what makes him so magical.
All about those cornerbacks, but I like the Dolphins' offense too. I like them to keep it close. I have a 6-point margin for the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs winning. I'm not excited that Myles Gaskin is going to miss this game, their running back, because of COVID-19. And that's a really bad development for them, because they're missing 3 running backs right now. But I like the way Tua played in the second half of last week against Cincinnati, and I like the matchup against the Chiefs defense. People were a little too excited about the Chiefs defense early in the season. It's not that good. You know what's good? Proper performances. The first word of proper, prop.
Woo! Tyreek Hill. He is one fun one to watch, and he's going to have more than 80 receiving yards. Now, it's not going to be because of corners. It's the catch and run for him. Those aren't going to be air yards. Those are going to be yards and then run. That's how he gets those yards. And you know what? They still count for him. So 80 receiving yards, going to happen. All right, next. Tua Tagovailoa will have fewer than 238 passing yards. Why? Well, part of what you just talked about. Without security in the run game, it means there's going to be a lot more of these shorter passes, more kind of things to keep things like, steady, stable, easier, higher probability passes. And of course, go pick up Washington. So DeAndre Washington, he's available. He's going to get the bulk of the carries. You want to run on this Chiefs defense. That's the way that you keep it going in your favor. That's how Brian Flores will attack this defense. Okay, what do we have next?
Got a little Texans and Bears. The Texans are favored by 1.5 in this game. You know J.J. Watt's going to be fired up because he's going to Chicago in the stadium that Kaylia Watt built. That's his wife. That's his wife's jersey that he's wearing. Get excited. I'm a little less excited that Brandon Cooks is expected to miss this game, according to our guy Ian Rappaport. But I do have the Texans winning this game, even if they are a little short-handed on offense. You got to trust Deshaun Watson. I just think what could cause Bears fans the most pain, it's seeing Deshaun Watson win without any receivers in Chicago. So I'm going Texans.
I love a good narrative on that one. I have actually the opposite result. I have the Bears pulling off an ever so slight win, 23-22, because of their defense. And also, I don't know, that jersey is actually the Chicago flag. So that's an interesting development. I think JJ Watt, interesting. I think he's giving us a premonition of who will win. When it comes to Deshaun Watson, yes, he is awesome and he's got a lot of great tools in the tool belt. But when you have no one to pass to or very few people to pass to, it becomes more difficult. You could take a shot with Kiki QT in fantasy. I'm not going to. I think maybe Jordan Akins, the tight end, might be the only one I would play, and that's only in daily fantasy formats.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, Cynthia. I'm picking the Texans myself. I will say that pick happened before we realized that Brandon Cooks wasn't playing. It does make it harder for Deshaun Watson. And, for a quarterback that is playing as well as he has with, as little as he has, I'm excited to eventually see him at his full potential with actual weapons, with good coaching, and the full game. But I'm sticking with the Texans just because it's too close. And if it's that close, my spirit won't let me pick the Bears because they've let me down too many times. All right, next up, we're going Broncos at Panthers. Panthers are favored by 3.5 in this one. I'm going with the Panthers for a lot of the similar reasons we mentioned earlier. The Broncos, although, sometimes they give us more than what we expect, have not been playing well on the stretch. Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that I think has really kind of gotten the most out of his team. And even looking back into the earlier in the year when there were questions around, at least for my sake, of is this the guy with him, I think a lot of that has been answered, where on the Broncos side, it's almost the complete opposite. So sticking with the Panthers on this one. What do you got for me, Cynthia?
I've got a pretty big Panthers win, 26-20 in this matchup. The Panthers got a whole bunch healthier over this bye week. I know they're still missing Christian McCaffrey, but you could still play Mike Davis in that situation. I also think Robbie Anderson's going to have himself a day. That's going to be a nice stack in fantasy that I'm looking to play. I think the interesting part when you look to see what's different about this offense and when you think about it, it's really Matt Rule employing those spread concepts. That's going to keep the Broncos a little bit off balance. And with an extra week to scheme for this, I think it's going to be a lot of upside for the Apex Predators. What do you have, Greg?
Ooh, I agree with you. I'm going Panthers by a point. I had a tough time picking this game. Broncos playing a little bit better lately, but I think like the model sometimes, which is you look over the course of the season. The Panthers have been a much better 4-8 team throughout the course of the season. They absolutely should have more wins. Whereas the Broncos, they've earned that 4-8 record. They could even be worse because of their offense. So let's go Panthers. Let's go Teddy, and let's go to a break, shall we?
Meme alert.
Before we do, though, we see my guy, Kyler, repping all them short quarterbacks. Need a little bounce back today, Kyler. Need a little bounce back.
He looks pretty good, though. The shoulder's looking pretty warm. He's looking loose. It might be cold in New York, but it doesn't seem to bother him.
Back on Game Day View, it's time for Drive to Excellence, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Cynthia continues to lead with 126 wins through 13 weeks, but Hawk and Greg are once again tied in second place. Just a reminder to both of you, all end-of-season ties will be settled via the vertical jump at the Combine. That was Drive to Excellence, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
All right, we got the Colts at the Raiders. Colts are favored in this one by 3. I am predicting the Colts to do exactly what Cynthia is doing to me and Greg, kick our butts. No, the Colts have an incredible defense, and that's what I'm expecting in this game. I'm expecting the Colts defense for it to be one of those games where they prove that they should be long at the top of the rankings in the NFL. And the Raiders, they've been spotty. They won a week ago, but as we've all talked about ad nauseum, it was not pretty, and they shouldn't have come away with that game. So the Colts are a very good team, and yeah, I just don't think the Raiders can pull it out. What do you got, Cynthia?
I got a 4-point win by the Colts, 28-24 in this one. I'm really concerned how this defense will impact Derek Carr when it comes to turnovers. Some of the things that we've seen is that when he is under pressure, different stuff happens. It's not so good. The outcome doesn't always go in their favor. In the beginning of the season, Derek Carr started off super hot, one of the best quarterbacks in terms of efficiency, metrics, a lot of different ratings, but it didn't really translate to all of the W's. Now then they went on a 5-game win streak. That was great. Then things went haywire and their defense started giving up a bunch of points. Now, when that happens, then he had more turnovers. So in this one, I think the Colts' great defense leads the way. Jonathan Taylor runs it on home. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the sexiest game. I do think it will be a very nice, strong, solid Colts win.
I had a tough time picking this game, but I took the Colts by 2 points. It's one of my thread that needle game for the week. They win, but not by much. And it's because of this Raiders defense. That was the tiebreaker for me. They just haven't gotten better all year, and the Colts are a rather predictable team. When they play a team that does not have a pass rush or much of a defense, they can survive. When they play an above-average top 10 defense, they usually get beat down. Cynthia, give me some proper performances, would you?
Okay. Well, much like vanilla ice cream, Jonathan Taylor, vanilla in this offense, will have more than 68 rushing yards. He's nothing vanilla about him. I just think that, their offense is a bit predictable, just like you said. But Jonathan Taylor, this is going to be the game where you see him kind of return as their lead back. Of course, they have multiple backs that they rotate in, but I think this is the Jonathan Taylor on the ground game, especially against this Raiders defense. And then on the other side of the ball, Derek Carr, well, he's going to have to be throwing. You know why? Because they're going to be playing from behind. So he's going to have more than 248 passing yards versus the Colts. This isn't because he's going to gash the Colts. It's because he's going to need to keep passing late in the game. Darren Waller, that's going to be the game script. Potentially maybe try with the Henry Ruggs situation again. But it's not about the magic. It's more about they must. What's next?
We got one of my favorite games of the day. It's Washington and their football team heading to Arizona, actually, to play San Francisco. The 49ers are favored by 3. I have them winning by 4. This is the pick I started to feel bad about throughout the course of the week. I do like the 49ers offense. Debo, Ayuk, Mostert, healthy together for the second straight week, and that's why I picked them to win. But then I thought about, this is Alex Smith against the franchise that did him wrong. People forget how ugly the beginning to Alex Smith's career was. They once chanted for David Carr, about 45,000 people in a Monday night stadium in San Francisco, chanting "Get Alex Smith off the field." And I don't know. It just feels like it's another dragon he can go slaying this year. So I'm not feeling good about it. What about you, Cynthia?
So I have a 1-point win in favor of the 49ers. I think the Alex Smith narrative is wrong. I think he's so above everything. He doesn't even care. He's just going to go out there and play his game, and it isn't going to matter. And at the end of the day, it's just really their ability to execute the ground game. Without Antonio Gibson for Washington, it's going to be far more difficult to be efficient with that offense in the way that we've seen them be. Then flip it to the other side. You've got, like you said, Raheem Mostert. You've got Debo. You've got Ayuk. You've got a lot more healthy situation for them. So for me, at the end of the day, it just comes down to the fact that their run game typically wins. It may be a little bit boring. It might be not the sexiest, like I said, not the sexiest win again here, but I think the Mostert situation seals the deal.
Yeah, I picked the 49ers, and I was going with the revenge narrative of the Shanahan and this whole coaching staff, and I had not thought about the Alex Smith revenge narrative. So now you've thrown a wrench in my whole philosophy. I'm sticking with the 49ers here. But that is something I'm going to be watching closely, the Alex Smith thing. Wow. I feel like I failed myself as an analyst. All right, next up we have the Saints at the Eagles. The Saints are favored by 7.5 in this one. Going with the Saints, they are the better football team by far. This defense is lights out. But what you'll get from the Eagles is a really good look at Jalen Hurts. Obviously, they've decided to go with him as a starter, and what a test for a guy making his first start against the Saints defense. If he plays well, then you've known you made the right decision. But if he doesn't, he has kind of a cushion because a lot of quarterbacks haven't played well against this defense. Cynthia, what do you have?
Yeah, I want to see a good Jalen Hurts situation, but I have a 9-point win for the Saints. It's less to do with, I think, Jalen Hurts failing in any way. I think we're going to see a great look of him, and he seems like a really tough kid. Watching some of his college film and having to be benched and then overcoming that adversity, like this is going to be a good narrative no matter what. But at the end of the day, I just think that the secondary for the Eagles is too susceptible, and I think there's too many different ways that the Saints defense can beat the Eagles offense. They are very unreliable when it comes to the passing game. All of the drop passes. There's a lot going on in this offense that has nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. So for me, at the end of the day, it is a nice, solid Saints win. Are you going to make us on meme alert, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. I have the Eagles losing by almost 2 touchdowns. The Saints are the best team in the league right now. They don't have the best passing game or the best quarterback. Taysom Hill has been fumbling too much, but Taysom Hill gets so much help that Jalen Hurts won't, from his offensive line, from his defensive line, from his running game, from everyone. I do think these fumbles that we're watching are a problem, especially as we hear on Sunday morning that Drew Brees may not be back for next week's game against the Chiefs. Taysom Hill, 3rd in the league with 9 fumbles. That is something he has got to clean up because he's barely played and he's fumbled 9 times. That is tough to do. It is tough to top these primetime games this week. They're so good. Steelers and Bills. The Bills are favored against the Steelers. It's week 14, and that's true. I can't believe it. And so I'm taking the underdog in this one. I think Pittsburgh bounces back. This is one of those games where I'm choosing to pick who is the better team throughout the course of the season. What matters more, the last 2 weeks or the last 14? This big Breeze passing attack where it's all short passes hasn't worked lately, but I think it can work against the Bills. They're more of a zone defense. They don't apply a lot of pressure. I think the Steelers will be able to move the ball on them. They get the win. What about you, Cynthia?
Light my score up in yellow, please. This is one of my finest. Steelers yellow. Steelers take the game 24-23 in a close win. Why? Well, the Steelers O-line is getting healthy at the right time. They're getting James Conner back. The run game will help solidify all of their problems that they've been having, in the red zone, trying to keep those short yardage situations from. They missed like a 3rd and 1 last game. That's not what Steelers do. That's not what Steelers will continue to do. So in my opinion, in this matchup, the Steelers have their nice bounce back game, and that defense, look out, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think he's going to be a nice little spy on Josh Allen. What do you have there, Hawk?
Yeah, I love the fact that Connor's back in the lineup, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm going lone hawk here, flying solo. We don't have the sound effect. We don't need it. I'm going with the Bills. I am the opposite of you, Greg. I am a momentum guy, and the momentum for the Steelers are going one way, and the Bills are going the other. And not to mention, I would keep an eye on the Steelers down this backstretch of the season. They have some very tough games coming up, so I'll be curious to see how they handle the tougher part of their schedule today, but going with the Bills. All right, next up, we got the game of the week, or at least my game of the week. Ravens at the Browns. The Ravens are favored by 3. I'm going with the Browns here, picking the underdog, and I am predicting a big week for the Haslams, who own both the Columbus Crew, who came away with the MLS Cup last night, and then a big win for the Browns. The whole state of Ohio is going to be buzzing. This run game is legit, and that's what I'm looking for. I want to see how this run game matches up against this Ravens defense, because that is the heavyweight bout when it comes to this game. What do you guys, Cynthia?
Well, I have a 2-point win for the Ravens, 24-22, because people from Michigan just like to try to destroy people from Ohio's hope, but it just doesn't work out. It just depends on what sport you're talking about. But ultimately, when I look to this matchup, I think the Ravens defense and the Ravens ability to be good on offense is going to be greater than the ability of the Browns to be good on defense. They're missing some pieces. I think what the Ravens do well, figuring out ways to escape pressure. Myles Garrett, yeah, he's really good. So when you look to see, stay away from those Browns corners. They've been really good on pass defense, absolutely. But the Ravens are kind of the antidote for what they do well. What do you have, Greg?
That is right. It's all about Lamar. I think this is the time of year Lamar Jackson just takes over and shows you why he was the MVP, why there's really no right defense to stop him when he wants to run the ball. He was so much more aggressive, decisive, and explosive running the ball last week. I think the Browns defense struggles, and I see what Hawk's doing. I mean, this is a guy who graduated from an Ivy League, and he's talking about momentum, but then he brings up the Haslams and what a great week is, and he's setting up future employment for the Browns. So that's why, that's that Ivy League education showing up. Let's see some more picks, the rest of our picks in this Week 14 slate. Hawk, tell me, you're another lone Hawk flying solo on the Chargers here.
Yeah, no, they've had some tough weeks, and you know, I feel like the monkey gets lifted off their back. The coach feels like he's not going to be fired, so I feel like we'll get an uptick in this one. Herbert is going to be Herbert, and they're going to finish it out. So that's also my way of trying to catch up to the 4-game skid I am behind on Cynthia and separate myself.
And maybe it
from
can
you,
work
Greg.
for the Chargers too. They're out here, like you're always setting up backup plans wherever you go.
You know, see, I need jobs. Everyone is hiring.
All right, we're heading to break. Here's a little bit of a look at Zeke coming off one of his better games of the year, and I think he is playing in this game.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how you wear the mask, but we'll
I know.
allow
I
it.
think the beard's really messing up his mask game.
That is a lot.
Okay, it's now time for my very favorite game on this show. And I'm freezing, so this actually helps me warm up right here. More or less. You have your foam fingers? Yes? Okay, good. Where's my dab? Dab.
Gotcha.
Yes, thank you. Oh my goodness, I almost lost my mind with that. Cardinals and Giants, more or less than 47 points. 47. It's a new number.
Ooh. This is one where I know the
number.
score that I gave. It was 48, so I'm close to it, but I like the offenses just a little bit more in this game.
I have 47. I'm right on that.
I'm
That was
going more.
exactly my guess. Looking good for Kyler Murray. What do you have, Hawk? More or less?
I'm going more. Look at that guy.
Okay.
Short quarterback, stout. Cold doesn't affect him. Thick. It's good.
All right. We're going to go to Steelers at Bills. More or less than 48 points. More or less. Boom. Debbie Downer in the middle here.
You're going down?
Yeah. 48's too many. It's 47. 24-23 is my projected score. What do you have?
So many weapons. The receivers on both sides of this. They're home run hitters. Connor's back. I mean, come on, Cynthia. We're going more.
I know people want these defenses to be great. They're not great. They're offensive teams.
The Steelers' defense is great.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, Falcons at Chargers. Hawks lone hawk, more or less than 49 points.
Ooh.
More or less.
This is one of my finds
agree.
here. I feel like they could both be in the 30s. Both defenses give up, and they put on a nice little show in Los Angeles.
I like that. If it was 55, I would still be more.
Ooh, that's spicy. I like that. I have 51 projected, 26-25, so that is more than 49. Okay, last but not least, let's see our fingers. Let's see their fingers. More or less than 52 points when the Titans and Jaguars face off in Jacksonville. Anyone? Duval.
Oh, man. Mine's going right off the screen with Mike Glennon and this Jaguars defense playing the Titans. They could both be in the 30s. That's what the score was the first time they played, 33-30 back in week 2. I remember that game well. Good one.
All right. Well, look, I have less. I have 49, and I have 29-20. I think Tennessee wins big and runs out the clock. Lots of rushing in this game. More game debut? What?
Nah, we're going less game debut, Cynthia. We are all done for today. Enjoy Week 14 slate of games. We will see you on Friday. Same time, same place. Peace, people.